Hey, and welcome to the Drive and Dish podcast. We're here for December the 19th to give our college basketball picks. A big day in college basketball today. A lot of great matchups, a lot of great games. So hopefully a lot of great picks. But first, let's go over our picks for December the 18th. We'll start out with Dynamite David, who went 1-3 yesterday after a good week. It turned on him a little bit on Friday, but he'll be back hot and ready to go today with some of his picks. He got the win in Davidson plus the 5 versus Rhode Island. Losses with Rider +1 versus Iona. Fairfield +5.5 versus Niagara. And the Tennessee Tech under 130 was also a loss. That puts him at 9-10 on the year. We'll move to me, who went 2-2 on the day with the Northern Arizona Eastern Washington game canceled. At Monmouth +1.5 versus St. Peter's was a win. Richmond -1.5 versus Loyola Chicago was a win. Davidson versus Rhode Island over 140.5 was a loss. College of Charleston did not play as well as I had hoped and lost versus Western Carolina in overtime. So the -3 for CFC was a loss, and Northern Arizona Eastern Washington was canceled. 2-2 on the day, 68, 52, and 1 so far on the year. So let's get into today's picks. We'll start out with our man, Dynamite David, who texted in his picks today. He's going to go with Furman -2.5 versus Winthrop. Really good matchup there. That should be a good one for anybody who likes watching small schools, two really good Southern teams battling out there in Furman and Winthrop. He's going to go with Alabama -5.5 versus Western Kentucky. Another really good matchup. Nice team in Western Kentucky and Alabama. Should be a really good game. Purdue -6.5 over Notre Dame. Big time rivalry going on there. Cincinnati -1.5 versus Georgia. And finally, UCLA -2.5 versus Ohio State. A lot of big games, a lot of nice matchups, a lot of good picks there. All right, we'll move to my picks on the day. I have 7 picks for college basketball today. We'll start out with Butler plus the 7.5 versus Indiana. Huge rivalry game. Should be a really good game. Always hotly contested and hotly battled. Butler 1-1 on the year. Let me down a little earlier in this week versus Villanova. Didn't play quite as well, but I'm looking for him to bounce back here and play a good game versus Indiana. Think this will be a good game. Believe they'll get under the spread. Indiana's been a little bit of a mixed bag here. Wins versus Tennessee Tech, Providence, and North Alabama, and also Stanford. Stanford, a really good win there. Providence, medium style win. Texas Tech and North Alabama, nothing wins. Losses on Texas Tech and Florida State, both really good teams and weren't able to hold up there. But we think this rivalry game will be a close game, and we look for Butler to come out on top on the spread here at 7.5. Next up, we'll move to Gonzaga -4.5 versus Iowa. The really key game of the day. Gonzaga's been off for quite a while. Bounce back versus Iowa, who's been just on fire on the offensive side of the ball. Can their defense hold down Gonzaga? Can Gonzaga's defense hold down Iowa? Should be a real shoot 'em up and high scoring and great affair. A lot of efficient players, a lot of great scoring in this one, but we think Gonzaga's a better team, and they're going to put it on Iowa here. Gonzaga, Kansas, Auburn, West Virginia. 3 wins, 3 really good wins versus 2 really good teams and a Auburn team that is struggling a little bit, but still a solid team. Iowa, been really hot to start the year. Wins over NC Central, Southern, Western Illinois, North Carolina, Iowa State, and Northern Illinois. So really sort of a mixed bag there. They haven't played an opponent quite on the level of Gonzaga. So it'll be really interesting to see how they play in this game. Next up, we have Louisville plus the 5.5 versus Wisconsin. Really like Louisville this year. Haven't really played a ton of competition. 2 good wins in Seton Hall and Western Kentucky. Really dominated Western Kentucky. Barely squeaked by Seton Hall, but we think this Louisville team will be really good. I know Wisconsin has been really efficient on offense this year, but that loss to Marquette is sticking out to me. I think Louisville's a much better team than Marquette. If they couldn't handle Marquette, I don't think they'll be able to handle Louisville. So getting points here, I think is pretty good value for Louisville plus the 5.5. Next up, we're staying in Kentucky, and we're going to Northern Kentucky, and we're going to take Northern Kentucky minus the 2.5 versus Youngstown State. Two teams that are about the same level, I'd say. I think Northern Kentucky, the Norse, will hold on here at home. They're on a 3-game losing streak. Chattanooga, Dayton, Kent State. Really bad loss to Kent State by 20-plus points, but these were all 3 away games. Coming back home, I think they'll be good. They're 2-0 so far at home. Wins over Ball State and Tennessee Tech. Youngstown State, 3-0 so far, but no wins of real note. Their only Division I win is Binghamton, and they're barely a Division I team. So we think the Norse will be able to handle this and cover that 2.5-point spread at home. Next, we're going with North Carolina minus the 3 versus Notre Dame. North Carolina been a little struggling of late. Close loss to Texas. Battled Iowa, but was not able to defend enough. And then a sort of mediocre win versus NC Central the other day. Didn't like the way they looked, but I think they bounced back here versus Kentucky. Kentucky, I think, continues to get overbet. They've just been awful this year. 1 win over Morehead State, losses to Richmond, Kansas, Georgia Tech, Notre Dame. They lost to Kansas by 3. That's about where I put North Carolina. Bad losses to Georgia Tech and Notre Dame, and we know North Carolina is better than them. So I think this North Carolina minus 3 is the way to go here. Next up, we have Albany plus the 3.5 versus Maryland, Baltimore County. Albany has not played yet, so it's really hard to get a gauge here, but we think them opening at home versus a solid UMBC team, but they have not really had a great win. St. Francis, George Washington, Delaware, Coppin State, all definitely worse teams than UMBC. I think this Albany team will be a little bit of a step up in competition, but no real way to gauge. But I like Albany at home today, plus the 3.5. And last but not least, we're going to the West Coast with a pretty decent California matchup here. If you're looking for a couple good California schools who play good, entertaining basketball, Pepperdine, UC Santa Barbara, Pepperdine minus the 4.5. Really like it. Good wins versus Cal, UC Irvine. They struggled versus Northridge and San Diego State, but I think this Pepperdine team is a nice, solid team. Should be an NIT team this year. And Santa Barbara, 3 wins and 1 loss. They split versus Loyola Marymount, and then 2 Division II losses so far this year. We just think Pepperdine's the way to go here. That's the Drive and Dish podcast for the day. Be sure to follow all our podcasts on greenlightnetwork.org. or wherever you download podcast. We got the Know It All podcast that's going up later this afternoon. Be sure to get our football picks. Dynamite David, football time. Last chance to get in on those. Plus our Achilles Reign with us on the NFL picks. That's our show, and we're out.